The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.
Maximum term of consumer loans, which is currently determined for 4 years, will be reduced to 3 years. According to Kobak, the governor of the National Bank of Georgia, the limitation of maximum term for consumer loans will take effect from August 15 and will be valid for 1 year. For slowing consumer lending, we are taking a decision to implement macroprudential tools, which means reducing terms from 4 to 3 years, said Kobak, the governor of the National Bank of Georgia. The change applies to all categories of consumer loans. The governor foresees the reduction of consumer lending growth rate as a result of above-mentioned change. Bruno Balvanera, EBRD's former director for Caucasus, Moldova and Belarus, who has more than 35 years of experience in banking and investment, has been appointed as an independent member of the Supervisory Board of Georgia's JSC Liberty Bank. I'm delighted to join Liberty Bank's Supervisory Board to support the strategy of the bank, leveraging its unique wide customer base and developing further micro and small entrepreneurs through all the regions of Georgia. Liberty and its professional, energetic team is well positioned to consolidate its place as a strong player and support Georgia's digitalization and economic development. Bruno Balvanera, new member of the Supervisory Board of Liberty Bank, said. Within 5 years, only 43% of the recommendations given by the State Audit Office were fulfilled, the Auditor General of Georgia, Irakli Mekfabishvili, said. The Auditor General summed up the results of the 5-year period of work of the State Audit Office and noted that during this time, the audit revealed more than 2,800 violations in state bodies and made appropriate recommendations. In his words, 43% of the recommendations have been fully fulfilled, 17% have been partially fulfilled, and 31% have ongoing status. According to the SAI-PMF indicators, the professional and organizational development of the office was assessed with the activities carried out within the strategic development of 2018-2021 and received a maximum of 3.4 points out of 4, which means that the institutional development of the State Audit Office equates to the level of EU countries. This is the last checkpoints of the season. I'm Elena Kvanchilashvili, executive editor of Forbes Georgia and the author and the host of the show. And the Checkpoints team is ready to provide you with the last batch of news and analysis for this season on business and economics. Today, we chose to tell you more about the businesses of the future, and we will start with an exclusive interview with the UN Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics headed by Irakli Beridze. He believes that artificial intelligence will gradually enter our lives. In the next 10 years, most of us will work, travel, study, or spend most of our lives in the metaverse. So the UN Center for Artificial Intelligence and Robotics is planning to open a virtual office in metaverse. Our reporter Tamta Jijavadze talked to Irakli Beridze on the world's digital transformation.
Mr. Irakli, thank you for visiting us here now in real studio because we had the first interview online. We know that you are having holiday in Georgia, and we really appreciate that you managed to use this time for visiting us, and this is really very huge honor for me to host you in our TV programs.
Thank you so much, Tamtam. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. And I did enjoy the online interview with you, and now I'm enjoying even more the physical sort of interaction and the real interview in your studio as well. Thanks for inviting.
Yeah, thank you so much. Since we had our first interview, a lot of changes had been done in terms of digital revolution. In one article that was published recently, you say that in approximately next 10 years, most of us will mostly likely work, study, teach, or even travel in virtual space. So does it sound a little bit dangerous for us?
All right. So number one is that obviously in the world of technology, and especially in the digital technology, the changes are happening exponentially. So what it means is that we are experiencing changes on a daily basis. A lot of things have happened last year, which were breakthroughs, and a lot more will be happening in the future as well, and more we will go through those exponential changes. The faster the changes and faster that developments will take place. Now, as far as my article and the sort of a claim that in next year most of us will be leaving, traveling, studying, or having any kind of or some kind of presence in the virtual world, I really stand by that. I do believe that right now we are experiencing a dramatic changes in that we had a Web 1 situation first when the internet started. Around 25 years ago or so, it was a flat internet where we were just collecting information. It was a nice and beautiful story. How it has evolved from that point to the Web 2, where we are now. We're kind of at the end of the Web 2 situation where we all became bloggers, we all became interactive participants of the internet, which was not imaginable at that time when we started the internet. And the same story is happening, the same transformation is happening now, where we are moving to the Web 3 internet world, where all of us will be virtually involved in a very different type of situation what we had before. And that Web 3 situation will be an internet where not only virtually we'll be involved, but most likely we will be owning portions of the internet, which will actually make interactions different, but very interesting and potentially very useful in terms of solving problems. That's why I'm very optimistic when we talk about technologies. I do believe that we have possibilities of solving a lot more problems, and problems which we never thought were possible to be solved. So therefore there will be tremendous breakthroughs in the healthcare world or in the energy sector, as well as in fighting crime or bringing the security situation better for us. And as far as the dangers are concerned, certainly there will be a lot more possibilities for criminals also, or cyber criminals, and cyber criminals will transform into the Web 3 cyber criminals as well. And that's why there are many different type of programs which we are sort of spearheading at the moment through our center or through our partners to actually ensure that we maximize the benefits and possibilities of this type of technologies and minimize the risks which are associated to them.
So what will be countries, like the states' role in this process, and what will be like the national governments also the role in this digital world?
I think that the world of the nations are still very big. We're still living in the world where our planet is governed by nations, and the United Nations is the organization actually which brings all the nations together, and we try to find the common grounds and solve problems and launch projects which are aimed at solving problems. The national governments right now are adopting different type of strategies in technology. Starting from 2016-17, we've seen proliferation of the national artificial intelligence or digital strategies, which is extremely important. Those are the governmentally approved documents which prioritizing different areas or specific areas, and national investments are going to those fields to solve the different type of problems or to contribute towards that. Therefore, within the world of the metaverse, I think that nations will have a key role in identifying proper regulations, which would on the one hand minimize the risks, and on the other hand give the possibilities for the technology to grow, and without obviously hindering its development or sort of declining its usefulness and its launching or its support.
When we talk about the digital strategies, how do you think where Georgia stands in this regard?
Right. I think that I've talked to numerous Georgian structures before as well, and there are organizations who have already researched quite a lot from the academia side, from the government side as well. I think that Georgia has a possibility to have its own digital strategy and cooperate with others to identify specific areas where investments can go, and how to benefit from those investments, and how to benefit actually from those technologies to numerous different fields as it will be prioritized by Georgia. And I do encourage obviously relevant Georgian structures to adopt such strategies and actually go forward with the implementation of it as well. It will be extremely useful. So, and our center stands ready to support in that process, provide information or contribute towards development of such strategies.
And finally, let me ask about the main purposes and goals of your center. I mean, artificial intelligence and robotics that was created with your initiative, right? So what are your action plan during the next several years in this digital transformation of revolution? I don't know how to name it. I know that you plan to open your office in Metaverse. Besides this fact, so what are your plans?
Right. Thanks a lot. It's the center. I mean, back in 2014, when we started sort of a first movement of AI within the United Nations, and I initiated together with some colleagues, and we organized the first meeting at the UN General Assembly in 2015. A lot of UN delegations even then thought that the AI was part of science fiction and it didn't belong to the United Nations. Only 2 years after, Secretary General of the United Nations already called this technology a game changer and one of the top priorities of the UN. We did launch our center back in 2017, and the center's aim is to, on the one hand, raise awareness of the risks and benefits of this technology. So we do quite a lot of activities in that field. Number two is that we are contributing directly in the governance of these technologies. So to ensure the technology is used in a right way, in a responsible way, in a human rights compliant way. So we are developing specialized policies and bringing them to the adoption of the governments, changing their legislations as well. Right now, for example, we work very closely with the European Commission, with Interpol, other organizations to actually create a governance structure of artificial intelligence robotics for the law enforcement, for the policing in the world. And it's one of the probably most sensitive sort of applications of the AI technologies, like it relates to the privacy-related issues, and we talked about face recognitions and other stuff, which been sort of widely talked about in the news and in recent sort of as a recent phenomena. And at the same time, we're also creating AI applications within our center, and we're launching those applications in the countries and in the organizations as well, within UN or basically for the UN member states, closely working with the technology providers.
Thank you so much. And wish you a huge success in your efforts.
It was wonderful to be with you, and wonderful to interact with your viewers as well.
Not stepping far away from the digital transformation, and believe it or not, it is reaching the gaming industry as well. There are specific characteristics of gaming platforms and dynamics of the gaming industry. Besides, stakeholders also have specific tasks. These make it a rapidly growing segment of the global technology sector. How could it benefit from moving games to blockchain? Our reporter, Georgi Aronia, has answers.
Arena Games is a Web3 multiplayer mobile games platform connecting developers and players in a simple and safe way. The team behind Arena creates a convenient way to transform traditional games into those compatible with Web3 technologies. Mobile game development, blockchain platforms development, NFTs, and digital asset management are the services that Arena Web3 Games platform provides. Arena's goal is to attract at least 1 million players within 1 year of launch of the platform's first game. Today, I'll talk with the founder of Arena Web3 Games platform and partner at VNTR Capital, Mikhail Didebulidze, and the Chief Executive Officer of Degamify, Marie Georgobiani. Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Hi.
Let's begin with the difference between Web 2 games and Web 3 games, and what are the main problems that your company is trying to solve?
Currently, we're building the Web3 platform. Therefore, we're implementing all the tools that are introducing the Web3 opportunities. What is the difference? The difference is that first of all, the tools that are built in a decentralized way compared to the Web 2, because it is a centralized way. Plus, you have the, let's say, middle company that are regulating the rules. In the Web 2 space, we know these big companies like Google and Apple. In Web 3, you are free. I mean, you can come up with your own marketing plan or revenue stream, and you have all the you are free to select the tools that you would like to have, and you don't need the approval of any centralized authority.
So when we're talking about Web 2 games, what do we mean specifically? Games that are in browser, or games on mobile, or other console games?
When we're talking about the Web 2 games, we're talking about the games that are not using any decentralized tools, including, let's say, including the blockchain tools. So therefore, all the games that are both on web or on mobile, if they don't have any tools related to the blockchain, we call them Web 2 games.
So what are the benefits of bringing Web 3 technologies to the existing Web 2 games?
So there are for the moment, what we propose on our platform is that we are introducing the token integration into the Web 2 games, existing ones. We are activating the NFT minting option. Therefore, the game developers will have the opportunity to mint and place their NFTs on the marketplace that we are also introducing. Afterwards, there are some other additional revenue streams coming from the NFT breeding and other activities, like introducing the other type of assets in game, and having these opportunities to work on the, let's say, to all the time you can see which tools can be used in specific games. So we are applying to this most let's say useful tools that we believe that all the games has to have. And plus, in addition to that, we will be using the well-known companies tools integrated in our platform, like Chainalync's tool, that will allow us to have the random number generator, meaning that all the features and all the parts of the gameplay happening on the platform and in the games will be randomly generated. Therefore, there will be no centralized interaction in the games, and this is leading to the fair play. So this is the most important things, I think.
What does these features that you just mentioned give to players? Is it something new that they weren't able to use before?
If we're talking about the Web 2 players, yes, these are the, let's say, these are the most important and most, let's say, easiest tools that they can start to get familiar with, because there are also, of course, there are other tools, but our goal is to introduce the Web3 technology to Web 2 players step by step. So we believe that these are the most important features that they should know, and in what we are introducing. So we are basically we are introducing the free-to-play modes, therefore onboarding Web 2 players and then giving them the opportunity to test the game, to see all the features in the Web 2 and in the Web 3 modes. So when they understand step by step the tools and the features of the Web 3, then they can start using the tokens, they can start using the NFTs, entering the tournaments, activating the play to earn mode, and other features on the website. So basically, we have this mission to help this transformation process and to guide both game development studios and gamers from Web 2 to Web 3.
Marie, what is your business model, and why is it attractive to both players and game developers?
So our main business model is built on the revenue share from the NFT sales between the project and the game developer. So as Miko mentioned, we are guiding the Web2 game development studios to the Web3 world. And we're saying that we identified a number of problems that traditional games have, such as monetization of their games, and we're offering them the new way of monetization. Instead of building the in-app ads that are interrupt all the time while you're playing, we're offering to make an NFT asset sales that will be used inside the game on our own NFT marketplace that Arena Web3 platform will have. So as soon as the game successfully went through the free-to-play mode and showed the good results, we're implementing the blockchain tools, play-to-win and play-to-earn mode, where we allow players to play with the NFT assets inside the game. So we are making the NFT sales on our NFT platform, and the revenue share from these NFT sales are divided between ourselves and the mobile game developer who brings the game on our platform.
What are the benefits of having your own NFT platform and not using the established ones?
You mean the marketplace?
Yes, marketplace. Right.
So our main goal is to have one turnkey solution for the game developers and for the gamers. So you don't have to go somewhere else. You have everything in one environment, in one infrastructure. So yeah, we decided to go with our own marketplace where we are establishing the rules, let's say, and the fair fees for the NFT sales and other things. So yeah, we decided to make it everything inside our platform to be more convenient both for the projects and for the gamers.
One of the most important aspects of Web3 technologies in general and Web3 gaming is that it allows for economic activity being incorporated within the game. As with your company, how is the process of economics done? Do you help developers by establishing tokenomics, or they come up with ideas?
Yes, the main thing that we came up with, since we're dealing with the traditional game developers who are not familiar with the blockchain tools or with the crypto in general, we're proposing them to use the economy that we built for our own. So the main, I would say, advantage of our platform that we will be using only one token for all the games. We will not allow games to have their own tokens. They can use our token. It will increase the utility of our token and will be much more convenient for the players as well to transform the token between different games. And as for the game economy itself, we're proposing the circular economy, which I will ask Mika to explain.
Circular economy, basically what we based on our research and based on our experience. So in the recent years, we have seen many projects called play to earn, where those projects lasted not for so long time. So we have created the circular economy, meaning that we activate the play to earn mode only in case if there are real players in in P2P and tournaments, meaning that the games that will be introduced on the platform should be highly playable. People have to enjoy the battles like in P2P mode. So from there will be formed the reward pool for the play-to-earn players, meaning that all the commissions that the platform will be taking from the services will form the play-to-earn reward pool, and this is how the circular economy works. So meaning that we can forecast more or less the game, how many NFTs and how many features they can mint. So therefore there will not be any cases on our platform with the games that have oversold the NFTs and just introduce something with the hype and with the marketing. So this is one of the main features as for the game economy that we are introducing. Plus, I would like to add something that for the game development studios, we have also the scholarship program that includes the, let's say, we are giving the grants in our token for the companies that are willing to introduce their game or they want to create from the scratch the game. So we are launching this in the autumn, in October, we will be giving the scholarship to the talented game developers.
What are the peculiarities of your token? Is it limited supply? If yes, how many tokens are there? Is it deflationary, inflationary? And can you just elaborate on the different aspects?
I can tell. Yeah, in total, it's a limited supply. We will have 100 million tokens in total. That will be on the listing. We will have only 0.7% of the tokens available, and we will have the linear vesting, meaning that during the first 1.5 years of the platform development, there will be only around 10% of the tokens available on the market. In total, meaning that also that we'll have the buyback strategy as well. So from the revenues that will be coming to the platform, we will have always the, let's say, the back plan. If we see that the token is having some problems, we will try to reserve some funds for the buyback, and therefore we will protect the investors from the inflation. The interesting thing is that the token from the date of the listing, this token will have the utility both on the platform and in game, because as Mari mentioned, we'll have only one token for all the games, and there will be the demand because the players will have to acquire some token in order to activate the play to win mode and play to earn modes.
Marie, last year, well, actually this year has been a bit crazy in terms of Web3 technologies. We began with the bull market, then the war in Ukraine began, and then Terra collapsed. So now we are in the middle or in the beginning of the bear market. How does the whole cycling situation on the crypto market affect your industry?
If we are talking about the GameFi industry and in general every industry involved in crypto, we say that bull market is a good time to build something, because in a bear market you're in a rush, you're trying to adapt to the fast moving market. In bull market you can slow down.
No, in bear market you mean.
In bear market you can slow down, see what others do, work on your project, work on the development of the project. So as for the crypto project, I would say the bear market is a good time to start something. But yeah, in terms of investment and big players joining the small projects, it's a bit hard for the projects.
Who are your main competitors, and what is your competitive advantage compared to them?
So we have, let's say, we have identified our direct competitors. There are around, let's say, 4 or 5 direct competitors. They are all like well-established companies. They are good, growing, and building something important. Let's say, the difference between us and our competitive advantage is that, first of all, the circular economy, and we are offering the tailored guidance. So bringing this Web2 game development studios and let's say guiding them to the Web3 world. So this is like something that differs us from others, because others just give the, let's say, public SDK, and it's available for the game development studios to integrate, but they don't guide them. Also, the circular economy that we believe that this is the only way to have the long-lasting, let's say, revenue stream for the games. So we are also, let's say, taking care of that. And we have also this, as I mentioned, scholarship program. And we believe also that the games that we are introducing, especially because we are picking only the multiplayer games, like the high, as I mentioned, like playable games, with the well-known mechanics. So we don't give the opportunity to onboard. We are not onboarding all the games. First of all, we are testing these games if they are like good, and so I think also the background that we have in game development and in the publishing, of the games, it is also helping us to differ and to stand out from the crowd. But I would like to say that also the competitors, they are all like really strong companies.
What games have you onboarded so far, and what are their specific peculiarities? Why did they choose them?
We have already started talking with the local game developers, and as Mika mentioned, we have a big background of developing games by our own, and we know exactly what problems are faced by the small and medium-sized game development studios in our region. So we started with this local market, and we are in talks with a number of game development companies, and we have already developed the first game, which will be launched in September. It is already available. You can download it both on the iOS and the Android. It's a very well-known game mechanics. As we mentioned, we're trying to attract Web2 gamers with the game mechanics that are familiar already with them. So yeah, we started with the puzzle-style matchmaking game, which is pretty familiar with the Candy Crush game downloaded by billions of people worldwide. Yeah, we chose the strategy to start with the well-known game mechanics, and the first game, Arena Master, will be available in September for the players on our platform.
What are some other projects that you are undertaking apart from the Gamify?
Since we're a Tbilisi-based company and we see a lot of crypto people moving to Georgia for the past couple of years, starting from the coronavirus, a lot of people started working from here. Then the war made a lot of people to move to Georgia. We came up with the idea to create a local crypto community and started making the Gamify, we called the community the Gamify meetups, which are held on the monthly basis. We choose one interesting topic every month, invite the local community, inviting some speakers who are talking about the interesting topics or the trends that are now existing on the market. So yeah, we are doing this on the monthly basis. We have already held 4 meetups attended by around 200 people each. So we're growing the community every day. We have the chats, we have groups, and the community is very active, which is why we decided to make a big international conference in autumn. By the end of October, we will held our first crypto conference. I would say the first big international crypto conference related to the DeFi and Gamify in Caucasus region. We're planning to invite all of our partners who are we're dealing with on Arena Master, Arena game platform, and yeah, moving to this direction, also building the community and working on that part.
Will there be any big names attending?
Yeah, sure. As you're, I'm sure, aware, last week the Binance held its first event here in Georgia. We are partnering with Binance and also thinking that they will join us on the conference, and other international companies such as...
yeah, there are some companies, you know, that are from introducing the cold wallets, big names, but there are like some companies like introducing infrastructural companies that are famous, like, you know, that are where they are building the games, and other companies. We have around contacted around more than 200 companies, and most of them they showed the interest, but till we didn't sign. I don't want to, you know, to make the announcement, but there are big companies. So this will be the, let's say, the first international real interesting conference. And the main goal of the conference is, there are 2 goals. First is to create 2 days workshops and educational let's say, panel, where we will discuss all the stuff from zero to how to first steps to crypto, and some tools that are modern, like including the DeFi tools. And we will have also the big, let's say, big names in crypto, like famous people that will be talking about some impactful projects and future projects. And the goal is also to bring Web2 companies and people that are really that are interested in the crypto, but they don't have so many expertise or information, and to give them, like, you know, to connect them with the right people, to give them the opportunity to have like this intense course on crypto, like for free. And that meaning that for us, this is like opportunity to also to contribute to this awareness, increasing the awareness in this space.
Apart from the conference, what are your medium to long-term goals?
Apart from the conference, so first we're launching the Arena Master platform, let's say Arena Games platform, that will be launched in beginning of the October. Then we have the conference. Before that, in August, we have the hackathon for a really big blockchain company, infrastructural, that we will be inviting the local Georgia-based developers. So this will be a massive hackathon that we are now organizing. Besides that, we are planning to create the. Currently, we are also helping and let's say cooperating with other Georgian startups, especially in the gamify field, and also in DeFi startups. But this is like more based on our personal contacts, the people that are referring to us. We are just helping them, giving them our. Let's say sharing with them our experience, but by the end of the year, this year, we want to create kind of small accelerator, especially for the gamify projects, where we will be guiding the regional startups, especially Georgian startups, like transferring them the knowledge that we got in these years, and opening them the opportunities to go to the global markets, and we will be also working on their, let's say, basic documentations, like tokenomics, pitch decks, presentations, and stuff like that. So we will accelerate them. So this is the plan that for this year, let's say.
Well, good luck to you, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, George. Thank you for inviting us.
Bank of Georgia, JITA, and the world's leading global accelerator 500 Global partnership keeps on. The stakeholders have reached a new agreement according to which 500 Global will train startups in Georgia for the coming 4 years.
I'm very happy to announce a 4-year program now. It's a 4-year commitment on our side and from the side of 500 and from the government side. There has been a huge success over the last 2 years with the startups, because we have seen 28 startups receiving financing, of which 4 went to Silicon Valley for acceleration, and they've been hugely successful. For every dollar that we have invested, there have been other private investors investing in those startups 10 times more. So we have invested slightly more than $1 million, and the total capital attracted by these startups over the last couple of years has been more than $10 million, which is testament to a huge success of this program. So I would like to congratulate the authors of this program, and I'm glad that we have been honored to be part of it.
Very excited to be here in Georgia today. The launch of our now next 8 batches over the next 4 years for 500 Georgia is such a critical milestone here in the Georgian startup ecosystem and really for the entire region. So it's an important milestone for founders to be able to apply to a world-class accelerator and venture capital firm and begin their journey to startup success.
Well, we are extremely happy that we are hosting International Accelerator Program here in Georgia for next 4 years. It means that really in Georgia we have established a regional innovation hub where we are attracting startups not only from Georgia but also from the regional countries, and we have already witnessed success of this program previously when we invested in lots of these startups. And actually one of the things that should be mentioned that previously this program generated for Georgian startups more than 300 million Georgian lari as an investment from different kind of institutional supports, and evaluation of the startups is amazing. It's more than billion already. So we are witnessing that this kind of international support program creating amazing opportunity for Georgian startups to actually sell their products to international market and expand their operation in all over the world, because the mentors and investments that is generated through the program is amazing opportunity for their global expansion. So this is very important in order to continue, and we have 100% opportunity right now that it will be here in Georgia for next 4 years. Georgia will be a place where international startups and Georgian startups are creating amazing products that will benefit Georgian economic rapid development.
Despite its small size, Georgia has a vibrant startup ecosystem in which all sides, including the government, founders and investors, are actively involved. Yet Georgia is an emerging market, so for local startups, scaling and acceleration is not only important but crucial. The Checkpoints had an opportunity to talk to one of the investors behind Y Combinator, world's leading startup accelerator.
Among the world's prominent startup accelerators, Y Combinator is one of the best. A simple glimpse into YC's portfolio is enough to understand the intellectual capabilities, prophetic and entrepreneurial abilities of the people in charge. Throughout its existence, Y Combinator has invested in Airbnb, Dropbox, DoorDash, Coinbase, OpenSea, Reddit and Stripe, among many others. Being backed by Y Combinator is a dream come true for Georgian startups, for which scaling and acceleration are crucial. The road to Silicon Valley is already paved. In 2021, the fintech company Payzy became the first Georgian startup backed up by YC. In 2022, high-quality API docs generator Theneo joined too. Many more Georgian startups will join Y Combinator in the future. There's no doubt about it. Today, I'll talk to Y Combinator's investor, Arnav Sahu. Arnav, greetings. Thank you for answering our questions.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Arnav, you are one of the investors in one of the best startup accelerators in the world. What is your journey? How did you end up at YC?
So my personal journey, I grew up in India, was fortunate to come to the US because I came through a scholarship program for university. So came to university, studied at Cornell University in upstate New York. At the time I was very interested at the intersection of tech and finance. So started my career at a firm called the Blackstone Group in New York, in the private equity side. Learned a lot about the fundamentals of analyzing businesses, looking at companies, working with CEOs and founders. And was there for 2 years. Realized that, I wanted a bit of a change and work at a tech company. So then joined this startup called App Dynamics, which got acquired by Cisco. Worked there in the corporate development team. Did a lot of things there, mainly around M&A, investing, product, strategic partnerships, but really, dug my teeth deep into enterprise software, and that's where I built a lot of my expertise in enterprise software. And then I was there for about 3 years, and I then joined a venture capital firm called Spark Capital in the Bay Area, mainly leading our investments in enterprise software and enterprise infrastructure software, which were, tools that in areas like cybersecurity, AI, developer tools, cloud infrastructure. So, the layer beneath your enterprise software applications like Zoom that went on, that power a lot of these applications. And then I joined YC about a year back, mainly focused again on enterprise software and enterprise infrastructure. And it's been a ton of fun to be at YC and work with the founders here. And again, at YC, mostly focus on my time on enterprise software, but YC is a small place, so we work with a lot of our founders and ensure that they're successful in building big.
Arnav, Georgia is an emerging country. And for Georgian startups to grow, scaling and acceleration is of utmost importance. As an investor with experience of investing in emerging markets, what are the main trends you could highlight?
Look, I think one of the biggest trends you see in emerging markets that I see all across, and I grew up in India, is certainly the big waves in fintech, and there are a lot of commonalities in fintech companies. If you take Stripe for an example, which is a US-based company, they enable any online business to easily accept payments. So if you're an online business and you want a customer to pay via a credit card, you need the infrastructure and the tools to accept that credit card. So Stripe essentially allows anyone to accept online payments via credit cards. Now, if you think about that analogy, everywhere in the world, every emerging market is moving from offline to online payments. I think different countries are at different points in their journey, but everyone is going through that journey. And in so many ways, you've seen Stripe for every single country that's emerged. There are other parallels that you see in other fintech um, sectors where you see a lot of companies. So I'd say, one of the biggest waves that I see in emerging markets is the fintech revolution. And in many ways, if you think about the fintech revolution, it's actually leapfrog what the US has done. If you think about what happened in the US, you have, the credit card industry is pretty big, and a lot of the online payments happen via credit cards. For example, in India completely leapfrogged the credit card habit and moved directly to online payments, where effectively the government has built the entire payment rails. So, in my view, I think it's an exciting time to be a founder in emerging markets because there are certain businesses and models that have already played out. And certainly in the fintech sector, I see a lot of opportunities. The second area I see a ton of opportunities, which I think has been a big shift, is I think remote work has completely changed the game forever. Today you don't have to be sitting in the US or Europe to be building a big company. You can be building a big company wherever you want, either selling into the local market there or selling to the global market, like the US. So I say two big shifts that I see. I think certainly on the fintech side, see a ton of great companies emerge in countries that are following similar playbooks. And two, just seeing a lot of companies being founded in local regions that are either serving the global market or the local market. And in many ways, I think founders in emerging countries are now probably an advantage because, if you're a startup that's successful in an emerging country, you effectively have access to the best talent in that country. And today, talent doesn't have to be where, in the US or Europe, where you have to be close to the office. Talent now is everywhere. So in many ways, I think it's a great time to be an emerging market founder. You can learn a lot from people who've done it before, past mistakes, past models. And because of remote work, you can build it from it.
Arnav, what are the best practices and tactics that the international founders backed up by Y Combinator are using?
Yeah, I mean, to me, I'd say really two steps to company building, right? First is at the early stages, getting to product market fit as fast and cheaply as possible. And there it's about the founder identifying, a clear pain point, talking to users, being very user centric. I think a lot of people forget this while building startups. They have an idea in their head or they've spoken to some of their friends, but often don't talk enough to users. They have this perfect vision of what the product should be, but often users might not care about. So I think the best practice and the best companies in YC, even at the very late stages, are very user centric, and that's very important, especially at the early stages when you are building an initial product to get out in front of users. So I think best practices for early stage companies, whether that's based in the US or emerging markets, I think is to be really focused on the user, moving quickly and launching very quickly. And I think this is even more important in many ways for emerging market founders, where you have a lot of different problems, a lot of white spaces that could be solved, but really solving for the pain points that really matter to you. So that's the first stage, is getting to product market fit and talking to users. And I think that those are best practices there. Once you have product market fit and the product built out, as a founder, it becomes about company building and scaling the team. And I think there's, the best practices I see are really around two things. One is, having clarity of thought and communicating your vision to your employees, which is the ability to craft a story, articulate why you're building what you're building in the direction that you're going, because that's very important for internal alignment as you build the company. And two, I think the biggest differentiator for the difference between good companies and bad companies is the ability to hire world-class talent. And I think as a founder, at some point in your journey, you have to be an amazing recruiter. You have to convince other great people to come leave their jobs and join you in your mission to build whatever you're building. So I think my advice to people generally at the early stages is launch fast, talk to users. Once you do have product market fit, learn how to recruit really well and have the ability to really communicate succinctly and effectively, because that's important to hire and also communicate to your internal employees to scale.
Arnav, thank you for answering our questions and being with us. It's been a pleasure.
Let us now look at what were some of the main economic trends of the week. Fitch Ratings affirmed Georgia's long-term foreign currency issuer default rating at BB with a stable outlook. According to Fitch, the Russian invasion of Ukraine has so far been a large positive economic shock, as up to 90,000 Russian, Belarusian and Ukrainian nationals have entered Georgia. This has resulted in remittances surging 65% year-on-year in first first half of 2022, with remittances from Russia alone more than tripling. Fitch currently views this as a one-off exogenous shock, and the lasting impact on the balance of payments and external finances is not yet fully clear. What Fitch calls a large positive economic shock, Transparency International Georgia calls Georgia's economic dependence on Russia. According to TI Georgia, such dependence poses a threat to the country. In particular, the data as of June 2022 on trade between Georgia and Russia, tourist remittances, foreign direct investments from Russia, and registration of Russian companies in Georgia were analyzed by TI Georgia. In January-June 2022, Georgia received about 1.2 billion USD in income from Russia through remittances, tourism, and commodity exports, which is 2.5 times more than the income received from Russia in January-June 2021 from the same sources. Moreover, this year's receipts are 36% more than the income received from Russia before COVID-19 in January-June 2019. This means that compared to previous years, Georgia's economic dependence on Russia has been increasing. This growth is mainly due to the soaring remittances. Exports of goods taken separately decreased, the report reads. The Monetary Policy Committee of the National Bank of Georgia decided to keep the monetary policy rate, the refinancing rate, unchanged. The monetary policy rate stands at 11%. Elevated inflation and inflationary risks still remain a current global challenge, reads the statement of the bank. The sanctions imposed against Russia and the additional supply-side disruptions stemming from the Russia-Ukraine war have significantly raised international prices on food, energy, and other commodities. Elevated prices on international markets severely affected most countries, including Georgia, stoking inflation there. Despite the slowdown, inflation in Georgia remained high and amounted to 11.5% in July. Although recently prices on international commodity markets seem to have stabilized, uncertainty remains high and future trends largely depend on global geopolitical developments. Overall, under the influence of these factors, the inflation will tend to decline in the current and next years, but at a slower pace compared to the previous forecast, and other things equal, will gradually approach the target level from the second half of 2023. Pursuant to NBG, a faster decline in inflation is hindered by growing aggregate demand, to which high consumption makes a significant contribution. Economic activity continues to grow at a rapid pace, mostly driven by the record level of remittances, tourism recovery, and strong credit activity. According to the preliminary data, economic growth in the first half of 2022 equaled 10.5%. In addition, against the backdrop of consecutive shocks, inflation has long deviated from the target level, which further amplifies inflationary risks. Despite the tight monetary policy, credit activity is still high during this year due to excessive growth of consumer loans on one hand and foreign currency loans on the other. Therefore, to slow down consumer lending, the Monetary Policy Committee considers it appropriate to take additional macroprudential measures alongside tight monetary policy. In addition, it is expected that the implemented and announced interest rate hikes by the U.S. Federal Reserve and the European Central Bank will have an effect on FX lending in Georgia, similar to monetary policy tightening. Under such circumstances, the NBG predicts 9% economic growth in 2022. NBG's statement reads. In the current week, the Hungarian budget airline returned the second aircraft based at the Kutaisi International Airport and increased the frequencies on certain destinations. Wizz Air is one of the leading companies on the Georgian aviation market, which served 226,000 passengers in 6 months of this year.
Yesterday, we just celebrated one of the new routes, the flight taking off to Tallinn. So I visited the airport. I'm actually still at Kutaisi, but yesterday I was at the airport celebrating together with the management of the airport, and I was very proud to witness the taking off of the aircraft to Tallinn. This is one of the new routes we announced. The other one is Paris. And then we did increase frequencies to many other destinations. Just to give you a few examples, to Barcelona, Spain, to Milan, Rome in Italy, to Athens in Greece, to Dortmund in Germany. What else? To Larnaca in Cyprus. So I think it's a whole lot of destinations where we managed to increase frequencies as well. And we are very proud, and I think this shows our dedication to the Georgia market as always. So this is hopefully just the beginning, and in the future we are able to announce more new routes and further increase frequency.
Let us now look at business sentiments overall. For the third quarter of 2022, business confidence in Georgia increased by 2.6 index points and reached 17.7. The highest increase in business confidence is observed in the construction, that's up by 14 points. The positive change in BCI for the third quarter of 2022 was driven by significantly improved past performance, reads the latest publication of ISET Policy Institute. The past performance index, which considers the business sector's assessment of their own economic performance in the previous quarter, increased by 16.2 points compared to the second quarter of 2022 and reached 6.7 for the third quarter of 2022, with service and construction sectors showing the greatest improvement. Expectations index, which reflects business optimism, decreased, amounting to 25.6 index points. Expectations for the third quarter of 2022 decreased for all sectors except for the construction and service sectors. The sales price expectations index decreased by 11.6 index points and settled at 29.8, indicating a decrease in the share of businesses that anticipate charging higher prices on their products over the next 3 months. The sales price expectations index has decreased for all sectors except for the trade sector. Lack of qualified labor force and limited access to financing are the most significant obstacles for large companies. Meanwhile, lack of demand and limited access to financing are indicated as major constraints by SMEs. We will focus on one sector now, and that's the development sector, and we will be talking about the modern tendency that people have exercised lately, that they have started to look for places that have less buildings and more nature, where busy roads, noise, jams, heavy air and stress is not an option. Such places are resorts within the city. We will show you Krzanisi residence, which we believe is in line with these modern demands. How? Maria Madamia will tell you more.
The basis of well-functioning city is its proper development, for which everything is dependent on correct preliminary planning. Free space for movement, residential buildings, public and commercial spaces, underdevelopment and ecology are the main issues and big challenges in Tbilisi. In many cases, development and construction are not based on collective interests, which leads to the reality that we are trying to change today, together or separately. On the other hand, the Krzanisi Villa residence complex is one of the most ecologically attractive areas within the city, which is located 7 to 8 minutes far from the center of Tbilisi, Liberty Square. Worth to mention that the demand for living facilities in such ecologically clean areas is increasing more and more. This is because the correct development for modern living spaces has recognized criteria. The first important factor for any settlement is the creation of a healthy environment. This is the most important challenge for modern cities, especially for our capital. Along with a healthy environment, infrastructure plays a leading role in choosing a place to live, and the development industry professionals confirm this.
There is no space for children, nor for greenery or recreation. Naturally, the living environment is spoiled, and the citizens already know this. It is certainly better to live in a place where there is service infrastructure, social facilities, roads, public transport and recreational spaces. These types of areas are also ecologically protected and tend to have forests around them, which are not for construction projects.
Apart from the fact that Kızılcık as a location has a truly outstanding green and ecologically clean environment, the visual style of the city is also taken into account. Accordingly, low-intensity development was formed in the area. Recreation areas were planted on several additional hectares and very specific microclimate was created. In general, environmental planning is one of the tools that helps us avoid urban problems and can be considered as a sort of protection mechanism. Environmental planning, taking into account the existing challenges, is aimed at creating an area that offers safe living conditions for the residents. This type of infrastructure planning takes into account all possible risks, such as air pollution, noise, flood probability, land erosion, and others. At the same time, the function of environmental planning is to secure harmonious human life, which can be ensured with ecological and natural processes.
Projects filled with residential, recreational and commercial spaces are of special convenience for our customers. From the very beginning, our company for its future project chose Kızılcık based on these ecological and landscape factors. In addition to the fact that the mentioned area is distinguished by special ecological attributes, we took into account the urban problems that exist in the city and tried to design a low-intensity and proper functioning urban complex. The residents will also be supplemented with recreational space across several hectares in order to create a special microclimate.
There is nothing better than a lifestyle that takes the weariness out of work. For this, the most important is a place where we create a cozy environment for our life. For this, Kızılcık Resort residence, located in historical part of Tbilisi, provides an opportunity to breathe, live and relax.
Well, I hope we brought summer vibes to you with this piece. Anyway, such was the last checkpoints of the season. We will return in September with a renewed format and many, many novelties. Before that, follow us on bm.g and forbes.g to get updated information about business and economics. And of course, have a peaceful summer holiday.
The Checkpoint is presented by GM Pharma, the first international multinational pharmaceutical company in Georgia. GM Pharma, to serve those who need it most.